so we're going to look at this again. We've got number 1 on the word problems worksheet. A store receives a shipment of VCR and CD players. So you had, let's just make a little chart maybe. VCRs, there were 5 VCRs, and CD players, there were 4 of them, and that cost $2,250. And then they got another shipment in. They got 3 VCRs in and 6 CD players, and that cost, oh, I got the wrong number, didn't I? And that first number is supposed to be 1950. I got off when I looked back down. The second set, that was the one that cost $2,250. Find the cost of the VCR and the cost of a CD player. Again, we're just writing equations. Notice even the directions on the worksheet says do not solve. Now, you need to pick 2 variables because you got 2 things going on here. You got VCRs and you got CDs. We could use V and C if y'all want to, just because, and let's do that because I think that's normally kind of how the SAT presents the stuff. The thing about it is, if you were to go in a store, and let's say you walked into Best Buy and you bought 5 VCRs and 4 CD players, how would you total that cost up? When you say, what would you do? 5 VCRs. How are you going to determine how much you just spent on VCRs?
They usually have a price tag.
Yeah, they have a price tag. So we don't know what the price tag is. How about we call that price tag V for VCRs? Y'all okay with that? All right. Now, you also are going to buy some CDs, so you're going to spend some more money, right? All that money's going to add up. We're going to add in the cost of buying 4 CD players. Now, you go to the CD players. They have a price tag. We don't know what that price tag is. Let's call it C since we don't know what it is. 4 times the cost of 1 CD would be 4C. Wouldn't that be how much you'd pay for your 4 CD players? And when you go to the cash register, your friendly your neighborhood Best Buy salesperson adds that all up and says you owe $19.50. We just have an equation here.
Yeah, you should sue them.
Okay, there's one equation. If I make that equation that way, how am I going to make the blue equation here? Same thing, right? If you look at it, usually on the PSAT, what they had is they already had them written, and you were just trying to pick the right one. Wouldn't this one just be 3V plus 6C is 2250? And if you wanted to solve these, you could just put these in your calculator and use the matrix part of your calculator really quickly and get the answer. You remember, because if you're on a PSAT, you want to work with that calculator. So that's how you write those 2 equations. Those are the 2 equations they're asking for. And if you look, you can see the numbers 5 and 4 and 1950, 3 and 6 and 2250. And what they usually do to try to trick you is they might put, over here they might have put like, what to make a problem that was wrong. I'm going to write in red a problem that would be wrong. They'd get the cost with the wrong amount. That would be saying 6 VCRs and 3 CD players. And so they'll do stuff like that with the answers to try to mess you up. That's not so bad when you see how to do it, is it? Do y'all agree? It's not so bad? Those 2 that I had circled before I wrote the red on it is the answer.
I guess V is 150.
Yeah, you could put if you're trying to fill in all that thing, you could say let V equal cost of VCR, 1 VCR, and let C equal cost of a CD. If you want to fill that out, you can. I am fine if you don't use the format they gave you here, but just do write the equations where it says equations. You can ignore those other things over there unless it helps you work the problem. I'm not trying to force you to, do annoying things if it's easy to write it without filling all that in. We'll just kind of pick some of each type. 3 says a travel agent offers 2 package vacation plans. The first plan costs, okay, I know cost usually, I'm going to stick it over here because we saw in those last problems the cost was kind of nice to have in a column by itself, $400. And it's 3 days hotel and 2 days of a rental car, right? Okay, so that's how much.
Just like in the PSAT.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, good. Sort of like this. Then, okay, they got another plan. Now, look, let me make some columns here. Let me say this is how many days in the hotel. We'll put days in hotel. And in this column, let's put days of rental car. So I'm just going to kind of arrange this like a little table here. But aren't these days in the hotel and days of rental car, isn't that going to be, that's going to be part of my variable setup, isn't it? Okay, let's do the second plan. I'm going to write it in blue just so we can keep the two separate. The second plan costs $550, so that's a more expensive package, and you get 4 days in the hotel, and you get a rental car for 3 days. So you're basically getting a day more on everything, and it costs you like $150 more than the other package. If you wanted to write equations for this, since they're talking about cost, how would we describe the cost of a hotel? How could I do that? What do y'all want to call that? Okay, we'll let H equal the cost of a hotel. And then we got the cost of the rental car. What do y'all want to call that? C for car. We could say R, but, either one would be fine. You could even use X's and Y's. They're just letters, right? But here the letters can help us make sure we're doing the right thing. If 1 day cost a certain amount, then 3 days would be 3 times that certain amount. So couldn't we make an equation up here with the black one that I wrote up here? Wouldn't it be 3H? So you got to pay for the hotel, and now you're going to pay for the rental car, so you got to add that cost in. That's why we add. How would you describe the cost of the rental car for 2 days?
That would be, for 2 days, that would be 2C.
2C, because we let C be, okay? And then we know that when all that adds up, that costs you $400. There's equation number 1 right there. And again, all we're doing on this is writing the equations. You can solve them if you want to, but I'm not asking you to do that for homework. Misha, could you tell me, can you figure out anything on that blue one, what you would use there? Like, what would an equation be for this blue one here?
4
Uh-huh.
plus 3C
Uh-huh.
equals 5.
Uh-huh. See how easy it is? And if they've already written them for you and you're just picking out the right ones, you're just trying to make sure they haven't mixed up the variables with the wrong number of stuff, So you're just looking on the SAT to see how they arranged them. But that's how you'd write the equations, and we've already talked about how to solve them, but that's all you're doing on 3. Why don't we pick another one that's kind of different? Okay, so number 4 says, the math club is having their end of the year party. Natasha found the cafeteria usually makes 200 cups of pineapple ginger ale fruit punch. The cook told her that if she doubles the pineapple and triples the ginger ale, she'll have a total of 420 cups of punch. How many cups of each are needed to make 420 cups of fruit punch? And again, we're still going with the instructions that say do not solve. We're just writing the equations. Okay, so it's pineapple and it's ginger ale. Y'all want to use P for the amount of pineapple or cups of pineapple? Okay, so let P is the number of cups of pineapple, and then we'll let G be ginger ale. Okay, so G equal number cups ginger ale. Makes me thirsty. Sounds really good right now. Okay. So they've got basically, if you think about what's going on here, there's this whole recipe they follow, and they put some however much pineapple with it, and however much ginger ale, we don't know, but how much did that regular recipe make before they started doubling and tripling stuff? 200. So you could represent that first amount by saying P plus G is 200. You got to start somewhere, and they just said, they make this recipe and it's got 200 cups, and so
2P plus 2G.
I think so. Let's look. It says she doubles the pineapple, so that would be 2P, and triples the ginger ale, so it would be 3G, okay? And how much does it make? 420. There's your 2 equations right there. Is it as hard as you thought it might be? Don't they all kind of follow almost a formula as far as what you're doing there? You got the amount of something, and it's either cups. The variable may represent cups of that, or it may represent a cost of that. But pretty much you're just taking the number of each thing and putting it with either the cost of it or the number of cups of it, and then you could put that in your calculator and solve it really easily. Okay, so for number 6 it says a pair of boots and a pair of tennis shoes cost $196.12. I think the reason they put this let blank equal blank, that's just where they're having you decide on your variables. So what do you want to do? You want to let B equal boots and T equal tennis shoes. Is that okay?
Sure.
So if you were filling that in, you could do that. Let B equal cost of the boots, because we're talking about money here, aren't we? If you look at the whole problem, they ask us questions about money. So we don't know what boots cost, and that's what we're trying to find out. And then T is the cost of the tennis shoes. Okay, so a pair of boots and a pair of tennis shoes cost $196.12. What could we make? How could we make that into an equation?
Plus G equals 196.
Yeah, like one pair of boots, or just B, and one pair of tennis shoes, which we could have just written B plus T, right? Equals the 196.12. Okay, so here's my first equation. Now the difference in their cost is $44.38. How would we write that?
Divided by?
Well, difference. What is the word
Take away.
difference? Yeah, difference means subtract. We don't know which one's more expensive. And they don't really say one's more expensive than the other, but
Random then.
we'll just put B minus T because we really don't know. We'll just put 44.38. There's a system right there that wouldn't be too hard to solve even if you did it by hand. If you did it by hand, you could add all those together and the T's would cancel out.